For the final review of the year, I'm checking out Big Sky Trooper, an odd game for the SNES. It's very quirky, and maybe it's me, but it's hard to keep playing, because most of the time I really didn't have an idea on what I was supposed to be doing. Truth be told, I've been trying to review this game for over a year. Every time I pick it up, I play it for a little while, get bored, and then play something else. It's not to say that's really a bad game, just a confusing one. Let me explain. You start out as a simple character who immediately gets recruited into the Sidereal Shock Troops. A man in the beginning named Sergeant Slack briefs you. Apparently, the Sultan of Slime declared war on the human species. You get qualified by passing 3 simple tests, which you can't fail. After this, the Sergeant promotes you to a 21-star General. I can't even guess on how that makes any semblance of sense. A Sergeant recruiting a newbie as a General. This army must really be in bad shape. Anyway, you then get acquainted with Fido, or the Flexible Interactive Digital Omnicomputer. Its avatar is pretty foreseeable. This is the extent of the game's humor. It's stuff to make you cringe. After this, there's not much else that the game tells you, so you have to feel it out for yourself. You can access Fido to ask him about any items you have in your possession, as he'll attempt to explain them, but they don't always make sense that way. In any case, talking with Fido when you first start is definitely a really good idea. So then you have 2 options. You can either explore the planet that you're on, or you can attempt to travel. When you travel, of which you can only move to the planet next to where you're at, you'll typically get attacked by the Slug Army's ships. You'll have to play a minigame resembling asteroids to wipe them out. Only once this is done can you descend onto the planet. You then have 2 goals. Eliminate all slugs, which is shown by the counter in the top right of the screen, and to explore the planet for any important items that may assist you in your journey. The game is fairly open world, as you can travel to planets in any order, but you do have certain objectives that you'll need to complete in order to progress the story. So right from the start, you're shooting asteroids, slug ships, dropping the planets, vaporizing slugs, and trying to figure out where exactly you need to go. It sounds simple, right? Well, it's not. For one, there's often very little direction. You get little hints on mailboxes on these planets from your teammates, but other than that, you're on your own and are forced to explore just every nook and cranny. Secondly, I'm going to be blunt. That suit that you wear on each planet, it blows. You don't seem to get a lot of armor. There's 2 bars on the top of the screen. One is your life, denoted by the yellow and red, and also the heart showing how many bars you have available. The other shows a lightning bolt and is shown in green. Honestly, I've never figured out what that does. You can collect batteries and increase the number next to the bolt, but I have no idea what it actually does. Maybe I didn't get far enough, or maybe I didn't read enough text. But even after pressing every possible button, I got nothing. Truth be told, after a little while, I just didn't give a shit. See, the problem number 2 involves your weapon. It's a simple electric blast. Pressing Y shoots it. The problem lies in your range. You practically need to be within humping range in order to even do any damage to any enemies. Even so, when you do manage to get close enough, you'll find that the weapon does shit for damage. Every enemy takes multiple hits, and some close to a dozen. At the same time, you'll be getting attacked by what you're trying to shoot at. Some enemies, like these little orange blobs, even explode upon defeat, and it's nearly impossible to avoid taking damage due to the crappy range of the little pea shooter. In addition, trying to aim your weapon is a pain in the ass. Why? Well, your avatar moves way too quickly for his own good. He'll zoom around the map, which is awesome when you cleared any hostiles, but when the planet is inhabited by the slugs, you'll be running into them frequently. There's no real way to aim precisely, so most of the time, you'll be running around in circles trying to get in a hit without succumbing to harm. It's extremely frustrating. In fact, boss battles are a true test of who can shoot the other the most fastest. No matter how many times you try to evade projectiles, you just say, fuck it, I'm attacking head on. The asteroid-like minigame controls don't fare much better. Although you don't move too slowly, turning is incredibly clunky, and the bullets you fire are way too small for the slug army to really be scared. Your ship is huge, the slugs are much smaller, and the bullets are tiny. It makes trying to complete this a bit more difficult than it needs to be. Granted, I never failed these sections, but it's still something I needed to bring up. When it comes down to it, the game is kind of boring. It's very repetitive in its gameplay. To me, it feels like an early prototype of Mass Effect. You travel between different planets trying to find new items to help you out and defeat an invading army. You talk to certain NPCs to further the story. You need to unlock more solar systems to keep playing. Although I wasn't a huge fan of Mass Effect, I can say that at least that was more interesting than Big Sky Trooper. The one thing that's going for the game is the visuals and music. Each non-enemy character has some great detail to them. Many of the planets look a bit different, although they are incredibly small. The levels loop, which would mean that each planet is less than a mile long. If it was me, I'd let the slugs have them. As for the music, I haven't found any track that's really offensive to my ears, so that's a huge plus. plants each have different tracks, and they all feel suitable for their appropriate areas. Overall, I can't say that I would recommend Big Sky Trooper. It's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not one that's really hooking me in. It's only a game that I can play a few minutes at a time before getting bored. Thankfully, there's 4 different save slots available, so it's easy to pick up and play. I just can't get into it though. I find the game a bit too frustrating. Perhaps if the combat was a bit more smooth, I'd give it more of a chance, but with the way it stands, I just can't say that you should play it. Final score? 6 out of 10. This is Reaper. If you're interested, my 2016 preview is up on my YouTube channel, so check it out. As always, happy fragging.